just last week we found out that Ubisoft was shutting down an Assassin's Creed studio, and now it looks like the Avatar Frontiers of Pandora and Star Wars Outlaws studio is going through some major shakeups because they are facing major layoffs, and it's not looking good for Ubisoft. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, yes, a lot of companies in this industry are going through major changes. They overhired for several years in a row. They are canceling projects, and that means that they do not need as many employees. It's not even just happening in video games, but video games are being hit extremely hard, even though layoffs were down in 2025 versus 2024. But now it looks like Ubisoft is going through its second round of layoffs for 2026, just 2 weeks into the new year. So it says a voluntary career transition program at Ubisoft's massive studio announced in October 2025 apparently wasn't enough to get the job done, and so now Ubisoft is going back to the old-fashioned way of doing things by simply laying people off. Earlier today, we informed all employees in our Swedish studios, Massive Entertainment and Ubisoft Stockholm, about a proposed organizational restructure that may affect approximately 55 roles across these 2 locations. This restructure follows the completion of the voluntary leave program launched during the fall of 2025, a finalized long-term roadmap, and a completed staffing and appointment process, which together have provided clear visibility into the structure and capacity required to support the 2 studios' work and sustainability over time. Now, to me, this is just PR speak. They want to lay people off. They want to let people go. And so they tried this voluntary career transition program to make it seem like a softer blow, but that didn't work. So now they have to get rid of even more people. And Ubisoft is struggling right now. They recently faced the largest hack in the history of the video game industry, if all of the rumors and reports are correct. And by the way, they were hacked 3 times, which is insane. You have the multiple games releasing and being financial failures. Skull and Bones was a quadruple A failure. They're even calling Assassin's Creed Shadows a quadruple A game now, and of course that didn't seem to meet its goals. They haven't exactly said what they were. It's not like we'll ever fully know, but they talked about player counts and not actual sales. But you have Star Wars Outlaws, which is Massive Entertainment, who's now going through these layoffs that underperformed, and they had put the most money they ever had towards its marketing budget. And then X Defiant was supposed to be the Call of Duty killer, and well, the only thing that died was X Defiant. Though at the end of the day, am I shocked to hear that this is happening? No. It's not just about the size of a team or the amount of money you put towards a game. It's about the passion, it's about the drive, it's about the focus within these studios. If you have hundreds of people working on tons of different little things, then nothing ever feels fleshed out. Then all of the systems feel dull, mediocre, the world doesn't feel alive. And when you hire a bunch of juniors and you're not hiring back veteran developers, yeah, it just turns out to be a string of mediocre games, and Ubisoft is known for their mediocrity. At this point, that's why they're handing off series like Assassin's Creed to their joint venture with Tencent. The Vantage Studios deal is massive, and we really haven't heard anything about it. But yeah, I mean, now Massive Entertainment, who is the developer of the Division games, as well as Star Wars Outlaws and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, is going through these layoffs, and Ubisoft Stockholm is currently working on an unannounced game, and Ubisoft said the long-term direction for both studios will not be impacted by the layoffs. So we don't know exactly how many employees they have in total at these 2 studios. Either way, though, the Division is, I don't want to necessarily say dead, it's just in a downtime right now. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora has been a nightmare since day one. They put a lot of money into that game and it didn't do anything. I know with Fire and Ash's release, it quadrupled in player counts, but it went up to like 13,000 players, which it still isn't very good. And then Star Wars Outlaws was a game that underperformed. It is a game that a lot of people were unimpressed with. It was buggy and broken at release. They have released DLC, but that DLC has failed to bring people back to the game. And overall, their experiences are forgettable. And I'm not sad that Ubisoft is facing all of this backlash and really facing all of these problems, because for years now, they have ignored our requests, they have ignored their customers, and, well, they are just facing the consequences of their own actions at this point. Like I said, though, Ubisoft had just shut down an Assassin's Creed Rebellion developer, the Halifax studio, just weeks after it unionized. Ubisoft shut it down after 61 of the 71 workers voted to unionize. Now, there are people that believe it is because of the unionization. I don't necessarily know if I fully believe that, because they clearly are going through a lot of layoffs right now. I have never really heard anything positive about Assassin's Creed Rebellion, which is a mobile game, and so it seems like they were just paying a bunch of people a bunch of money to do a bunch of nothing. It says, though, this comes 3 weeks after the 61 employees voted to unionize with the Game and Media Workers Guild of Canada, which is itself part of the CWA, or Communications Workers of America in Canada. It says that Ubisoft has claimed that the closure is unrelated to the union and is instead a part of its larger restructuring and cost-saving efforts. Now, I don't believe anything Ubisoft says. Maybe they saw them unionizing and went, yeah, we need to get rid of them as quickly as possible. Either way, though, these are some major issues and also major changes at this company. Gamers are talking about this on social media, saying not every position in a gaming studio has the same importance. It is bad for the employee indeed. However, the choices between saving the company and most of the jobs or slimming down the company. Damn, that's awful. There are some people who are saying, oh my gosh, hope these talented devs get picked up quickly by a better studio. These developers clearly are not talented because they're not making games that people want, or else Ubisoft would be making enough money to keep them around and they would be viewed as valuable employees. None of the games they've been making have been positive. The last Division game came and went. You have Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which had awful player counts and it wasn't a great experience overall, very mid-game. And then Star Wars Outlaws was mediocre as hell, and it was buggy and broken at release. And I've heard now that with Outlaws they fixed it up, but I still can't believe that they felt that it was acceptable to release it in the state that they did. Shit games that flopped, so no surprise here. In the great words of the great Roach King himself, welcome home. Avatar sucked, and they've been living off the Division 2 for over 6 years. The Avatar and Division 2s were both flops, and actually, all of these games were flops. I know this isn't a brand new article, but it lays out the facts. Ubisoft admits Star Wars Outlaws underperformed. Despite solid ratings and user scores across the first-party and Epic stores that reflect an immersive and authentic Star Wars universe, Star Wars Outlaws' initial sales proved softer than expected, Ubisoft said. In response to player feedback, Ubisoft's development teams are currently fully mobilized to swiftly implement a series of updates to polish and improve the player experience in order to engage a larger audience during the holiday season to position Star Wars Outlaws as a strong, long-term performer. And I played it. I couldn't even finish it because the main quest was bugged and I could not progress past that point. Of course, I'm not going to 100% the side quest. I didn't like the game enough to do that, but it's just so disappointing that a game people were excited for released in such a bad state. But I was told Assassin's Creed Shadows was a hit and that it owned the chuds. Well, Avatar was trash and the Division is ancient, so it makes sense. It's unfortunate that they're getting laid off, but Avatar sucked. And yeah, I always say this, I don't revel in the fact that people are losing their jobs, but if you did a better job, you would still have that job. So yeah, I will be keeping my eye on Ubisoft as I usually do, but now they're laying off even more employees, ones behind the flops of Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, Star Wars Outlaws, and that's following the Assassin's Creed Rebellion layoffs, and things are not looking good for them. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.